Unatazama Ndizi TV Afrika.
Good morning and welcome to the Morning Buzz. It is the 5th day of October 2025 and hopefully you have had a great night. Welcome, and of course we're here to inform you, educate you and entertain you on matters pertaining this country, that is Kenya, and globally. And of course today we will be highlighting some of the stories that have been making headlines online, and at the same time making sure that you are up to speed in terms of what is currently trending, especially taking a look at the local dailies, and also we will be taking a look at the morning report later on to see some of the trending stories in the country, and at the same time we will be giving you all the information that you will be needing. I am Jacinta Nyabeta, and of course this morning a lot we will be focusing on the current situation on that is in matters education, where we have this where we do know that so far the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examination are still ongoing in the country, and today being the third day we do see a lot happening. And as of yesterday in matters KCSE, 19 were arrested and 17 phones were seized as the government continued to deploy special forces and special police units to curb cheating, that is or exam malpractice so far in the country. So yesterday was the second day, and today we do expect it maybe it will be better. And at the same time we will be focusing at also the death toll in matters that is in Elgeyo Marakwet, where we did see a lot of rainfall that has been experienced there that led to landslide or a mudslide, if you can call it that, and the death toll so far has risen to 34. And as of yesterday we did see a lot in regards to that story. And at the same time a lot is still happening in terms of the borders between Kenya and Tanzania, where we did see Samia Suluhu, the president of Tanzania, saying that she is going to curb, or rather she's not going to rest until she finds the foreigners who went into her country to demonstrate or maybe begin the demonstrations that happened in Tanzania during elections day. And of course also our border, Uganda, also Kenyans and different human rights activists are now demanding for the resignation of Museveni, who is the president for Uganda, and the Kenya-Uganda ambassador also claiming that they are not working in order to reveal the whereabouts of Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo. So those are some of the stories that we will be taking a look at later on our show, but of course many others are still yet to come. But as of right now we will begin first with the weather update before we get into the newspaper review, and then later on we will be taking a look at those stories. And at the same time this morning I'm told that Liverpool ilifanyiwa ile kitu. Okay, ilifanya ile kitu. I stand to be corrected, right? Yes. So Liverpool did well yesterday against Real Madrid. Na tunajua kwamba pale Liverpool fans are really happy this morning. And of course, endeleeni kungangana sana. Najua Arsenal is still the top. Yeah. So we still keep going. We still keep going in terms of those leagues. We will be giving you and bringing you up to speed about all those matters. So welcome, and be sure to interact with us. We are live on our Facebook and YouTube pages at Ndizi TV Africa, and also you can follow us on our social media platforms, all of them at Ndizi TV Africa. And right now, as we begin the show, 21575 is our short SMS code number. Make sure you tell us where you're watching us from and leave a comment for us, and we will be reading it out loud here on Ndizi TV Africa's Morning Buzz. So welcome and stay with us till the end. And now we begin with the weather forecast from different parts of the country, and today we begin from Mombasa County. And in Mombasa County we do know that right now Mombasa imeanza kunukia kutoka mbali mbali. Watu wanaanza, watalii wanaanza kuingia Kenya and all those. We are planning to go vacations kule, some of us. So it is good to also know what we should expect in Mombasa. So today, the weather update from Mombasa County. Currently, the temperature stands at 23 degrees Celsius this morning, and we do expect that as from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. this morning, it will be sunny and cloudy in Mombasa. 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. it will start raining, but of course the rainfall will be accompanied by some thunderstorms, and at the same time it will be accompanied by some sunshine and clouds. So after that, as from 1 p.m. all the way to 6 p.m. it will be mostly sunny and partly cloudy. So that is in Mombasa County, which means the weather is a little bit good, and you can say that it is a good weather maybe for the coastal region. It won't be really that hot, but of course it is warmer than other counties. So when we talk about the weather updates, by the end of the day, 30 degrees Celsius will be the highest temperature that will be recorded in Mombasa County today, while 23 degrees Celsius will be the lowest temperature, and that is because of the evening showers that will be spotted in various parts of Mombasa, with some spots actually experiencing some thunderstorms in Mombasa County. So 23 degrees Celsius will be the lowest temperature that we do expect to be recorded in Mombasa County. Now we move on to Nakuru County, where currently the temperature stands at 11 degrees Celsius. In Nakuru, it is at 11 degrees Celsius this morning. So 7 a.m. all the way to 6 p.m. today, we do expect that in Nakuru County, it will be sunny and partly cloudy. So in Nakuru, mostly sunny, partly cloudy, which is a very good weather in case you are running errands here and there. So we do expect that by the end of the day, because of the pleasant times, pleasant times of the clouds that we do experience there, accompanied with some sunshine, we expect that 26 degrees Celsius will be the highest temperature to be recorded, while 12 degrees Celsius is the lowest temperature that we do expect to be recorded in Nakuru County. And we come back now to the homeland, Kisii. And in Kisii, currently the temperature stands at 13 degrees Celsius. So 13 degrees Celsius this morning, it is not really that bad. But now when it comes to the hourly weather, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. it will be sunny and cloudy. 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. we do expect that it will still be sunny and cloudy, but there will be some showers that are yet to be experienced in Kisii County. So 9 a.m. hadi 10 a.m. tunaweza ona kamvua karasharasha kidogo pale, and after that, as from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. in the evening, it will be sunny and partly cloudy. So in Kisii County, the weather is not really that bad. Also, it is a good weather. You can run errands. It is not maybe too inconvenience. So it is mostly partly sunny and not as warm, but also there will be some thunderstorms in the spots of the morning. And at the same time, we do expect that in the afternoon, it will go back to being sunny and cloudy. So 26 degrees Celsius will be the highest temperature to be recorded in Kisii County, while 14 degrees Celsius, especially during the night, is the lowest temperature that we do expect to be recorded in Kisii County. Now in Migori County, currently the temperature stands at 16 degrees Celsius, and 16 degrees Celsius, that is in Migori County. And as from 7 a.m. in Migori, we do expect that it will be sunny and cloudy all the way to 6 p.m. in the evening. So in Migori, that is a pleasant weather there, and we do expect that it will be good for the day and good for running errands in Migori County, and maybe if you are visiting from other counties. So 29 degrees Celsius will be the highest temperature that we do expect to be recorded in Migori County, while 17 degrees Celsius, the lowest temperature that we do expect. Now, talking about Eldoret, we look into it. In Eldoret, currently the temperature stands at 10 degrees Celsius. So 10 degrees Celsius, it is almost close to the way Nakuru County also stood at 11. So in Eldoret is standing at 10 degrees Celsius this morning. And we do expect that as from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the afternoon, that is midday, we expect that it will be sunny and cloudy in Eldoret, while as from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. it will be sunny and cloudy, but there will be some thunderstorms that are expected during that time or during those hours. And then 3 p.m. all the way to 6 p.m. in the evening, it will be mostly sunny and partly cloudy as of course the day goes by. So in Eldoret, that is how the weather looks like. Not really bad, but of course we do understand that it shows that there will be intervals of clouds and sunshine with a thunderstorm spot during the afternoon hours, which of course makes it 24 degrees Celsius as the highest temperature that we do expect to be recorded today in Eldoret, while 12 degrees Celsius is the lowest temperature that we do expect to be recorded today in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County. And second last, we take a look at Nyamira County, where in Nyamira currently the temperature stands at 14 degrees Celsius. So 14 degrees Celsius in Nyamira, we do expect that to be a little bit, maybe the day will come along warm. And as from 7 a.m. all the way to 2 p.m. in the afternoon, we expect it to be mostly sunny and partly cloudy. And then 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. it will be sunny and cloudy, but of course you add on a little bit of thunderstorms here and there and a little bit of rainfall. And 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. we do expect it to be sunny, which means there will be a very cute sunset in Nyamira County today. So by the end of the day, we do expect that 27 degrees Celsius will be the highest temperature to be recorded in Nyamira, while 14 degrees Celsius will be the lowest temperature that we do expect to be recorded in the same county. And lastly, capital city Nairobi, currently it stands at 13 degrees Celsius, matters temperature there. Now, as from 7 a.m. in Nairobi County today, it is really beautiful. 7 a.m. all the way to 6 p.m. in the evening, we do expect it to be sunny. So kule shamba la mawe leo kutakuwa kumewaka jua kuanzia 7 a.m. in the morning hadi 6 p.m. in the evening. So if you are running any errands, maybe if you want to be outside uko hapa na pale, Nairobi today is a good place to do that, because there is no rainfall, any prediction of rainfall today, and or rather it will be just mostly sunny and accompanied with very high clouds, which means practically it will be a blue sky in Nairobi today all the way from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. in the evening. So by the end of the day, we do expect that 28 degrees Celsius is the highest temperature to be recorded today in Nairobi County, while 16 degrees Celsius will be the lowest temperature that we do expect to be recorded in Nairobi County today. So that is during the night especially. So mostly those are some of the highlights that we had on the weather updates from different parts of the counties, and of course that is to ensure that you are up to speed on what you need to plan for as the day goes ahead. Now we take a look into the newspaper review, and of course you do understand that on the newspaper review we just take a look at some of the stories that have been highlighted outside the that is a front page, and then later on we will be taking a look into those stories and giving you more information about it. So on the local dailies this morning, we take a look at the Standard newspaper. And on the Standard newspaper this morning, we do have Suluhu's vendetta. Okay, that is the main headline today, the Standard newspaper, Suluhu's vendetta. So that is the main headline on the Standard newspaper. So it is about revenge, that is according to the Standard. And we talk about it. Tanzania has unleashed a ruthless crackdown on foreigners innocently accused of stalking post-election violence, with police and soldiers raiding lodgings, tightening borders, and detaining East Africans without cause. The directive, issued from the police headquarters late Monday, has sent shockwaves through the hospitality sector and triggered fear among Kenyans living in the country. That is a story we'll get on pages 6 and 7 of the Standard newspaper. And now you can tell actually this is actually maybe not fair in some way, because of course we did hear that most of the Kenyans, not most of them, but some Kenyans wanted to get into Tanzania to go and demonstrate, and we did see that from around the borders a lot was happening there, and I think so far no one was allowed to get into Tanzania, especially during the election day. So right now, according to Samia Suluhu, who is the president of Tanzania, she says that it is people from outside the country who went to demonstrate in her country. So right now, the crackdown has begun, where we have seen police officers getting or storming into lodgings and also tightening border security after detaining East Africans who they claim that maybe they were involved in one way or the other in those demonstrations or the protests that happened in Tanzania on during the election day. So that is a story on pages 6 and 7 of the Standard newspaper, and we will be seeing how it turns out. But of course, right now there is a law that is actually concern, especially when it comes to hospitality sector, and triggered fear among Kenyans, especially those Kenyans who live in Tanzania and have been staying there for quite some time. Does it mean that maybe they will get arrested because they are Kenyans, or maybe because somebody is maybe they are finding someone to blame for it? So those are some of the questions that you do ask yourself. How sure are they that Kenyans, or rather maybe Kenyans, because they are talking about East African, so East Africa comprises of Kenya and Tanzania and Uganda. So if it is talking about foreigners, then we are talking about Kenya and Uganda. So does it mean that Kenyans and Ugandans went into Tanzania to protest? And does it mean that Tanzanian didn't come out to protest? And there was an internet shutdown. So how sure are we that actually the people who are being targeted and maybe being arrested right now are not innocent, or maybe they just targeted because it is revenge, as the Standard newspaper suggests? So that is a story you will get on pages 6 and 7. And some of the comments that were made by Samia Suluhu, who is the president from Tanzania, she says, and I quote, "Sikushtuka kuona kuna watu waliotoka nchi jirani na kuanza vita humu nchini mwetu. Nitawatafuta kila mmoja wenu na mtajua mimi ndiye amri jeshi kuu jike na simba jike." Haya, end of quote. Alisema kwamba mtajua kwamba yeye ndiye amri jeshi kuu na simba jike. Okay, now that is an interesting one there, and that is President Samia Suluhu during her swearing in, when she was being or rather when she was being put into office, the swearing in ceremony that happened in Dodoma. So now taking a look at other story, or rather another comment that was made there. Soldiers stopped us, searched the vehicles, and again asked about our stay in Tanzania. Most of us still had valid 30-day permits, but they claimed foreigners should only stay for a week. They made us sleep on the tarmac, cooked their guns, or rather cocked their guns, and pointed them at some of us. It was terrifying. So that is according to a Kenyan researcher who was in South Africa, or rather in Tanzania, and that is in regards to what is currently happening there. And they of course are suggesting that it is no longer safe for the Kenyans living there, because if for them they had, that is the Kenyan researchers who were there, they had that 30-day permit, then it shouldn't be an issue because they were allowed to get in. So then all of a sudden they're not supposed to stay there for more than a week. So you can see what is happening there, and that is something that is really terrifying for the Kenyans living in Tanzania in the moment. So a lot has been happening. So many people have been killed, and we can see from the media, especially from the coverage, of course not everyone was allowed to get in to cover those elections in Tanzania. But of course, according to the election observers, they did say that they do not agree with the way Tanzania did their voting, because then the opposition leaders were not given enough recognition, and at the same time they were not given the opportunity to participate in the whole process. And at the same time, we did see America's former president Barack Obama also, he did give an insight and give his opinion concerning Tanzania's elections, and he did say that so far he did not like the way Tanzania conducted its polling, that is its elections, because not everyone was given that right. You cannot maybe put away the worthy opponents and maybe imprison them, or maybe just put them in a position where they cannot be able to contest for the seat that you are contesting for. And of course, he did say that that does not reflect democracy in the country. And he did say that democracy means you leave your opponent, you give them enough time to campaign, the same time that you also get, so that the people get to decide on who to actually get into office, and they will choose their leader. And that is the meaning of democracy, which of course is a good description, because when you talk about democracy, it is the rule of the people, by the people, for the people. So this is more of not for the people, it is the rule of Samia, for Samia, and so that is what we can say so far. But of course, this is something that has been raising eyebrows so far in many countries, and so many election observers also did give their opinion, saying that they do not agree with how the elections were conducted in Tanzania. But of course, those are some of the stories that have been highlighted on the Standard newspaper. But of course, there are many other stories you will get on the inside, but that is the main headline there. Now, let's take a look at the Daily Nation. And on the Daily Nation, a lot is highlighted and very informative. How payroll cartel is milking Kenyans. How payroll cartel is milking Kenyans. Well, Public Service Auditor General has flagged counties for retaining staff over retirement age. Now, as much as Kenyans are actually complaining about lack of jobs, if we are actually serious as Kenyans and just take a look at it, take a look at it in your place of work, one way or the other. There are people who are maybe above the age of 65, let's say 65. I think that is the age where we retire as Kenyans according to the law. Now 65, above 65, unapata sasa yeye ndiye amekuja, yeye ndo kijana kwa hiyo kampuni, and most of the people in the public service, that is now what is happening, and that is what the Daily Nation is focusing on this morning, on how payroll cartel is milking Kenyans. And according to the Auditor General, she did flag that is different counties for retaining staff who are over the retirement age. And now when we take a look at that, employment fraud, ghost workers, fake academic papers, backdated birth certificates, and double allowances and job group manipulation are some of the ways through which rogue public servants and managers are siphoning billions of taxpayers' money every year. Public Service Cabinet Secretary Geoffrey Ruku yesterday said hundreds of civil servants are under investigation over the rampant malpractices. That is a story we'll get on pages 4 and 5, and that is actually something that is really relatable to many of us, most of the Kenyans. And as much as so many people are outside, that is not people but youths, let's talk about people who are aged between the job groups now 24, 23 to around 35. They are outside, they are at their homes because they have nothing to do. They're just trying to figure out how to move day by day. And during now, when it comes to employment, because kutafuta kazi za serikali, during the applications process and all those, unapata hakuna tu mtu anachukuliwa. Lazima ukwe na godfather, and that is something that most people have been talking about when it comes to maybe godfathers, finding someone, connections, as maybe most Kenyans call it, and many things are happening there. And still, they cannot get into that office or maybe get that position because there's someone there who actually backdated their birth certificate. So unapata alifika 65, lakini their birth certificate suggests that they are 60 years old. So they have 5 more years in that office. And at the same time, we also have people who lie about their, they change their job groups. And at the same time, the job group manipulation, as they have said it, and academic papers, they fake academic papers, backdate birth certificates, double the allowances, they double allowances, and some of them manipulate the job group. So that is how they are surviving out here, when they should have already retired. And now those are maybe the ghost workers are also involved in that employment fraud. So that is a story. We'll get an interesting story actually to get and learn more about on pages 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. Now let's take a look at other stories. Now Elgeyo Marakwet, still another top story in the country. Landslides. Now search is still on for the missing people. Search is still on for the missing. Now West Pokot Governor Simon Kachapin, and also we do see other Elgeyo Marakwet counterpart Wesley Rotich join the public during a search for bodies at Mukurutwa, that is in Kerio Valley, Elgeyo Marakwet County yesterday. While the government has put in the death toll at 32, more than 20 people are still missing in the villages that were hit by the deadly landslides last weekend. So that is another sad story that of course we have been following up on in Elgeyo Marakwet, and as of right now the death toll has been recorded at 32, but of course we did see another number emerge at 34. So of course those are some, so it is around there. Let's say it is above 30 when it comes to the death toll that has been recorded so far in Elgeyo Marakwet, and we do pray that of course the missing people that they might be found. Now also in other stories, it is now up to the state to end varsity strike. It is now up to the state to end varsity strike education. So there is a glimmer of hope for a breakthrough in the 2-month-long lecturer strike after the university's academic staff union WASU signaled willingness to consider a government proposal for the phased payment of the of the 7.9 billion salary arrears. So that is a story on page 7. It is Matters Education, and they have been having meetings so far, the Ministry of Education together with UASU and many other groups and stakeholders. They have been having meetings together in order to come up with a solution for all these details, and of course to make sure that these university strike comes to an end. And so far it has been 2 months, so so far hawajafanya hata semester moja, and that also is affecting the candidates, or rather the students, in one way or the other. So that is a story about Matters Education that are ending in the country on page 7 of the Daily Nation. And counties said for 70.6 billion boost as members of parliament strike deal. Now counties have won a reprieve after members of parliament and senators struck a long-awaited deal to unlock 70.6 billion Kenyan shillings in additional allocations, ending months of wrangling between the two houses over conditional and unconditional grants. So this is about grants, and of course that is a story you will get on page 20, Matters Devolution in the country. And now so far the governors have won, and we have seen counties are set to receive that 70.6 billion boost after that strike deal, or rather after a striking deal between the members of parliament and the senators. A story on page 20. Now philanthropy, saving children with heart conditions is my best trophy, says Arsenal legend Kanu. So Nigeria's Nwoko Kanu, who is 49 years old, underwent a heart operation to correct a faulty aortic valve in 1996 after the defect was discovered during a medical examination as he was completing his transfer from Dutch club Ajax to Italy's Inter Milan. So that is another story, a hopeful one there, and of course giving back to the community, and that is a good story to take a look at, an encouraging story there that you will get at the back page of the Daily Nation. And lastly, we have the dispute. Now, why SRC is opposed to judges' proposed retirement packs. Now, why SRC is opposed to the judges' proposed retirement packs. If enacted, then it's the current form. The judges' benefits will be fully funded by the government as they are exempt from making contribution to fund their retirement. So if it is enacted, then the current form, or rather in its current form, then the judges' benefits will be fully funded by the government as they are exempted from making contribution to fund their retirement. So that is a story you will get on page 8 about a dispute between, of course, if that will continue or not. And that is a story on page 8 of the Daily Nation. So those are some of the stories that have been highlighted there. So I will pause there for a moment and head on a short break here on the Morning Buzz Show. It is 2 minutes to 7 a.m. this morning, and I get to just take a moment, and of course when we come back we will be taking a look at other local dailies. So don't go too far. You are watching the Morning Buzz Show.
Unatazama Ndizi TV Afrika.
Every Wednesday night, join me for powerful stories and informative stories that will touch your heart and also will be informative on Ndizi TV Africa, where we will be having able and ambitious. Join us as we empower voices that need to be heard and also encourage the inclusive voices in the society, one story at a time. We educate, we inspire, we break barriers and remind the world that disability is not inability. Tune in to Ndizi TV Africa every Wednesday as from 8 p.m. as we celebrate and empower the able and ambitious in our society. Ndizi TV Africa, beyond Africa.
Je, wewe ni mmiliki wa aina ya gari aina ya Alto, Probox, Harrier, V8 na Lexus? Jipatie brake pads kwa bei nafuu hivi sasa. Vilevile oil filters kwa gari aina ya Toyota na vilevile Subaru. Ili upokee popote ulipo, piga simu kupitia nambari 0739318606.
Je, wajua kwamba mapishi si kazi tu ila ni sanaa? Njoo tujifunze mapishi mapya katika runinga ya Ndizi TV Africa. Hapa ndipo tunapika, tunajifunza, tunakula, tunasherehekea na kucheka kidogo. Ungana nami kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia mida ya saa 2 usiku katika kipindi chetu cha Pishi Bora. Hapa ndipo tutakuwa tunapika vyakula mbalimbali ambavyo vitakuwa vinanukia kama vile mchuzi wa nyanya, tunapika kuku kitunguu, tunapika wet fry na vyakula vingi zaidi. Njoo tujifunze pamoja na tulete ubunifu jikoni katika kipindi chetu cha Pishi Bora. Ungana nami Ronelfa katika kipindi cha Pishi Bora, tulete ubunifu jikoni.
Unatazama Ndizi TV Africa.
Being healthy is a strive everybody longs for. Human beings will spend their time online searching remedies for conditions challenging them. Some will go to medical facilities seeking medical help, while others will use herbal means to keep their health hazards. I am Chimutai Kirui, and every week on Afya Yetu, we open the doors for life-changing conversations from wellness and nutrition, preventing diseases, managing chronic illnesses, and even mental health. We bring expert advice, real-life stories, and practical solutions that touch every part of your life. Join me, Chimutai Kirui, on Ndizi TV Africa Afya Yetu Health Show every Friday from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. and be part of the change.
Unatazama Ndizi TV Africa.
Kila jamii hapa Afrika, yani chini ya jua duniani, ina chimbuko lake. Ndani ya Ndizi TV Africa, katika kujua utamaduni wako, ndani ya utamaduni Afrika, tutaangazia kila jamii, tukianza na jamii ya Abagusi ambayo iko chini ya Bantu, jamii ya Mkamba, jamii ya Waluo. Vile vile tutaangazia kuhusiana na jamii ya Masai. Tutataka kujua ni mbona jamii inaenzi, ama ni mbona kila jamii inaenzi mila na tamaduni zake, na vipi hizi mila na desturi zina umuhimu gani katika utamaduni. Utapata mpaka leo jamii ya Masai inaenzi sana ufugaji wa mifugo. Kuna jamii ambazo zinaendeleza mila ambazo zimepitwa na wakati, mfano ukeketaji wa wasichana, kitu ambacho jamii nyingi hazienzi kamwe, kukeketa wasichana. Haya yote kuhusu mila na desturi na utamaduni ni ndani ya kipindi Utamaduni Afrika katika runinga unayoienzi Ndizi TV Africa, kila siku ya Alhamisi saa 2 usiku. Kipindi kinaletwa kwako na Mwita Peter. Usikose.
Je, wewe ni mmiliki wa aina ya gari aina ya Alto, Probox, Harrier, V8 na Lexus? Jipatie brake pads kwa bei nafuu hivi sasa. Vilevile oil filters kwa gari aina ya Toyota na vilevile Subaru. Ili upokee popote ulipo, piga simu kupitia nambari 0739318606.
Tazama Ndizi TV Africa.
Welcome back to the Morning Buzz Show. Thank you for staying with Ndizi TV Africa. I am Jacinta Nyabeta as we continue with the newspaper review. Do remember you can leave a comment to 15750 short SMS code number. And at the same time, you can also text us on our social media platforms at Ndizi TV Africa. We are also live on YouTube. You can follow us on there as we continue with our program this morning. So now we are still doing the newspaper review, and time to take a look at the People Daily, where we have seen it is matters politics, of course, people and politics as always. Now 2027 cracks. Now inside the opposition's big split, so this is about opposition party that of course still is under construction, if you ask me. That is a story we'll get on page 4. But of course we do see Rigathi Gachagua, who is the DCP party leader. We have Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka. We have George Natembeya from Western Kenya. We have Fred Matiang'i from Kisii and Nyamira counties, or rather from the Gusii region. And we have Martha Karua, who is the PLP party leader. And we have Muhisa Kitui, who is also one of the opposition people. Now, there is that crack that is seemingly maybe starting to be seen there. And we can see the crack is here. We do see on this side Rigathi, Kalonzo and Natembeya, and on the other side we have Fred Matiang'i, Martha Karua, and we have Muhisa Kitui. So those are the cracks that have been identified so far in the opposition party, where of course we do expect of course there is a lot that we expect to happen as time goes by inside politics in the country. And now taking a look at other stories, matters about the death of Raila Odinga. So Raila's death, what it means for Ruto ties to ODM. What does Raila's death mean, especially when it comes to the ties between William Ruto and the ODM party? That is the explanation and an opinion that you need to understand. You will get it on page 5 of the People Daily. And on page 7 we have another story there. Luhya land a buzz as Natembeya linked to Kalonzo ticket. So of course it is still matters politics, and we have seen this split, and Luhya land a buzz as Natembeya linked to Kalonzo ticket, and that is also another interesting story you will get there on page 7 of the People Daily this morning. So those are a few of the stories that have been highlighted there, and you will get more details about the stories inside the People Daily newspaper, and of course many others to go. And of course some of the comments that people have been making so far, especially in regards to the People Daily, we have of course we have Peter Macha, who is commenting about the same, saying that if Akina Kalonzo manages to pull Matiang'i on their side, it's a done deal. How wengine wawili they have no influence. Haya. And also we have somebody by the name Boya or GW saying that just read what Matiang'i said. And we have also Petero Bosire saying that Natembeya anafanya nini in the first column. So this is the first column yenye anazungumzia, okay? And also Robert Omondi Oswago also commenting saying that Mudavadi was there, Wamalwa and Mudi Awori. Interestingly, Bungoma, Trans Nzoia behaves differently. Well, that is an interesting way, of course, to take a look at that. And someone else, that is by Kipsang Alan, saying that Eugene is in the political divide. Eugene is in the political divide, so that is also something that is he is referring to Eugene Wamalwa. So there are many comments about the political landscape in the country, but of course we will be very keen when it comes to that to understand what we expect in 2027. Now let's take a look at the Star newspaper. Well, of course, on the Star newspaper also this morning, it is also matters political parties in the country, and The main headline on the Sun newspaper this morning is Raila's party in turmoil as Ruto deal sparks war. So Raila's party in turmoil as Ruto deal sparks war. One faction wants government positions, protection of the party identity. So one faction wants a government position and the other wants protection of the party's identity. So kidogo there is ile mvutano ambayo inaendelea kule ndani ya chama hicho cha ODM. So now Raila's party in a turmoil as Ruto's deal sparks war. That is a story you will get on pages 4 and 5 of this Star newspaper this morning. And this is about the wrangles that are actually ongoing in the ODM party. But of course, we are waiting to see how they actually turn out at the end of the day, what decision will be made by these leaders, especially in that Orange Democratic Movement party. And now on other stories also that have been highlighted on the Star newspaper, Angels of Light rescued me. Angels of Light rescued me. That is a mudslide survivor, of course, giving her statement and giving her side of the story on how she actually survived the mudslide. And that is something that we have seen. It was really rare. It was a very ugly image. That was actually not image, but a video that was trending online. And you could see how so many things would change immediately if maybe you are involved in that kind of a mudslide. And it was actually not it wasn't good. It was not looking good, but of course she actually survived. And according to her, she says that an angel of light actually rescued her because it was a really dangerous and a tragic mudslide at Elgeyo Marakwet County. Now, on other stories, we have domestic loans mount as the country's debt cross 12 billion or 12 trillion Kenyan shillings. So domestic loans mount as the country's debt crosses 12 trillion Kenyan shillings. That is another interesting story out on matters about the Kenyan economy and about public debt. And so far, domestic loans have actually, the country's debt has gotten to the 12 trillion mark. Now, also, short rains peak this month, while January barely likely to be hot and dry. So that is according to the meteorological department. They are giving their their insights, saying that short rains peak this month, while January will be likely to be hot and dry. So that is also a way to also maybe give that warning that, of course, in January we need to be sure and ready to begin the year. But of course, it might be very hot and very dry. So that is in most parts of the country. And now taking a look at other stories, Freddy Kokango, that is also a story from him where he is writing From Morning to Monument, ODM's journey towards 2027 win. Matters politics there about how the Orange Democratic Movement is planning to win the elections in 2027. Now, Ruto faces new affordable housing headache amid governor's fresh demands. Now, Ruto faces new affordable housing headache amid governor's fresh demands. So that is also inside the Ruto administration and what he has been advocating for. That is the affordable housing program. And we have seen many people, of course, at first many people were against it, but as of right now, it has been quite there, and there has been progress that has been seen so far. But of course, those are a few of the stories. Right now, it is among the challenges that the government has been facing so far in regards to the affordable housing program. Now, let's take a look at the Taifa Leo newspaper. And on Taifa Leo this morning, of course, a lot is happening there. And of course, do remember you can also leave a comment on our social media platforms at Ndizi TV Africa. We are live on Facebook and many other channels that we do have, but at Ndizi TV Africa. Now, let's take a look at that newspaper on Taifa Leo. Na kwenye taarifa za ambazo zimepatiwa kipaumbele kwenye gazeti hili la Taifa Leo, tunaona kwamba taarifa kuu ni wizi bila jasho serikalini. Wizi bila jasho serikalini. Kwa hivyo watumishi wanatumia vyeti bandia kupandishwa vyeo waandishi ama wabadilisha tarehe zao za kuzaliwa. Kwa hivyo ni aina ya wizi ambayo imeweza kuangaliwa na waziri wa utumishi wa umma ambaye ni Geoffrey Ruku, ambaye alizungumzia masuala haya, na tunamuona pale kuhusu masuala ya mishahara. Waziri wa utumishi wa umma amefichua kashfa ambapo watumishi wa umma wameshiriki wizi, njama na matumizi mabaya ya mfumo wa mishahara, ambapo baadhi ya waliotimiza umri wa kustaafu miaka kadhaa iliyopita bado wanalipwa mishahara. Unapata kwamba watu walistaafu kitambo miaka iliyopita, lakini bado wanaendelea kupokea mishahara. Kwa hivyo ni taarifa, utaipata taarifa kamili kwenye ukurasa wa pili kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo kuhusu wizi bila jasho serikalini, na ni jinsi watumishi wengi ambao wanafanya ama wale watumishi wa umma wanaendelea kutafuta mbinu za kuendelea kupata hela, hata kama unapata kwamba wamehitimu miaka ile ya kutoka kufanya kazi ama wakati wa kuenda nyumbani. Kwa hivyo badala ya kustaafu, ama unapata kwamba mtu alistaafu kitambo lakini bado anaendelea kulipwa mishahara. Kwa hivyo ni jambo ambalo ni la kusikitisha, kwa sababu kufikia sasa nchi yetu ya Kenya tunaona kwamba kuna shida haswa kwa vijana ambao hawana kazi. Kuna idadi kubwa ya vijana ambao wanaendelea kutafuta kazi, lakini unapata kwamba hawawezi kupata kazi, lakini sababu kuu ikiwa ni hii, ama ni kuhusu wizi ambao unaendelea serikalini, ambapo watumishi wengine wa umma wanaharibu hata wanabadilisha zile tutazitaje tarehe za kuzaliwa ama miaka ya kuzaliwa. Kwa hivyo ni njia moja tu ambayo imefichuliwa kwa sasa naye waziri wa utumishi wa umma ambaye ni Geoffrey Ruku. Haya, tuangazie taarifa nyingine. Kaunti 30 katika hatari kukosa donge. Kaunti 30 katika hatari kukosa donge. Kaunti hizo ni zile ambazo hazijaanza kutekeleza miradi ya maeneo ya viwanda. Kwa hivyo kidogo kaunti hizo hazitakuwa zinapokea donge ama hela yoyote. Ni taarifa utaipata kwa kina kwenye ukurasa wa 4 kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo. Na tukiingilia ukurasa wa 5, ajifungua pacha walioungana. Ajifungua pacha walioungana. Kwa hivyo ni kuhusu pacha hao wa kiume walizaliwa salama kwa usaidizi wa wataalamu kwenye hospitali ya Kilifi. Kwa hivyo ni mama mmoja ambaye alijifungua mapacha wawili ambao ni wanaume, lakini walikuwa wameungana. Kwa hivyo ni taarifa utaipata kwenye ukurasa wa 5 kwa kina, ili kuelewa yale ambayo yanaangaziwa na yanazungumziwa kwenye gazeti hili la Taifa Leo. Na tukiangalia pia kuna taarifa kuhusu ICC, na kwa sasa International Criminal Court inajulikana hivyo. ICC yasaka ushahidi Sudan, na ushahidi kuhusu ama unahusiana na mauaji ya halaiki na ubakaji baada ya waasi kutoa mji wa Al-Fashar Darfur. So ni taarifa ambayo utaipata kwenye ukurasa wa 8 kuhusu vita ambavyo vinaendelea kule nchini Sudan, ambapo tumeona kwamba wengi ama familia nyingi zimepoteza mashamba yao na pia zimetoroka ili kutorokea maisha yao, lakini kuna mauaji mengi ambayo yanaendelea kule baada ya waasi kutoa mjini huko kwenye mji wa Al-Fashar kule Al-Fashir kule Darfur. So ni taarifa utaipata kwenye ukurasa wa 8 kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo asubuhi hii. Na tukiangazia taarifa nyingine za kisiasa, Kalonzo arai ngome yake isimwaibishe. Kalonzo arai ngome yake isimwaibishe. Kalonzo ambia wafuasi wapigie mwaniaji udiwani wa Wiper asitaniwe. Kwa hivyo ni taarifa ambayo inahusu masuala ya uchaguzi ama chaguzi ndogo ambazo zinatarajiwa kuanza nchini Kenya baada ya wiki moja mbili hivi kutoka sasa, ambapo tunaona kwamba viongozi tuseme vyama hivi tofauti vinaendelea kuwa tafutia kura pia wawaniaji wa vyama hivyo ili waweze kurudi afisini na kuweza kuongoza watu tofauti nchini. Kwa hivyo ni taarifa utapata kwenye ukurasa wa 3 kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo. Na tukimalizia kuna gazeti kwenye gazeti hilo City wapewa likizo kabla ya kualika Dortmund FC. Kocha Pep awapa wachezaji wake likizo ya siku moja. Ni taarifa utaipata kwa kina kwenye ukurasa wa 20 gazeti la Taifa Leo. So kuna mengi ambayo yameangaziwa hapo, lakini kwenye maswala ama kwenye comments ambazo watu wameweza kutoa pale, there is of course Abongo Frederick anasema kwamba kindly reduce the retirement age back to 55 years. That is according to Abongo Frederick. We have Ochen Ochino saying it's upon you to deal with the information whether you will vote for or against such a government come 2027. And we do also have Stephen Wakairitu saying that what are we ordinary citizens supposed to do with this information? The CS is just playing the script of his boss working hard to be seen to be working, period. Kwa hivyo anasema hawa wanatudanganya. Hiyo ni kutudanganya tu, anasema tu because of saying ndio onekane ako kazi lakini hafanyi kazi. Kwa hivyo ni taarifa na ni baadhi tu ya zile comments ambazo watu wanaendelea kuzituma kwenye mitandao yetu ya kijamii. Unaweza pia ukatuandikia unapotutazamia na pia uendelee kutuandikia unayofikiria haswa kuhusu gazeti asubuhi hii ya leo. Kwa hivyo tukimalizia, let's take a look at the Business Daily. As we conclude the newspaper review, we take a look at the Business Daily, which is very detailed, very informative there. And the main headline on the Business Daily this morning is Court spares SACCOs from 8.8 billion Cusco write-offs. So court spares SACCOs from 8.8 Cusco write-offs. So SASTRA's guideline requiring loss provision quashed, and ruling eases fears of dividend payout freezes or cuts. So that is according to the Business Daily. So this is about finance, matters about finance, and we do see on that front page we do have participants from a workshop for the SACCO CEOs that was hosted by Cooperative Bank of Kenya in Mombasa. That is earlier in May 2025. So in regards to that story about finance on that local daily, we do see about finance. So savings and credit cooperative society, that is SACCOs, have been spared mandatory write-offs of billions of shillings locked in 13.3 billion fraud at the Kenya Union of Savings Credit Corporation. That is the Kenya Union of Saving and Credit Cooperatives, CUSCO, putting them to odds at the odds with international accounting rules. So the High Court has quashed a guideline from the SACCO Society Regulatory Authority, SASRA, that directed the cooperatives to set aside partial funds or provisions to cover the expected loss of billions of shillings worth of deposits and shares at CUSCO. So that is an interesting way to look at things, and of course that is in regards to the Business Daily this morning about different SACCOs in the country getting those write-offs, and of course that is a very good deal for them, and of course it is a good way to take a look at things. Now also on other stories, we have the exchange rate. Treasury reveals shilling value amid IMF concern, and that is about the Treasury and about the shilling stability that we have seen. It has been standing at 129. It ranges between 128 to 131 all the way in 15 months. Actually, the past 15 months, that is where the range has been, between 128 to 131. And right now, the IMF is actually warning that it rarely is the case when the Kenya, or rather when the shilling is stable all through. So the Treasury reveals shilling undervaluation amid IMF concern. So this is about the exchange rate, and the Treasury yesterday marked a stark admission of the shilling being undervalued against the dollar, placing on a collision course with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the advocates are a freely traded exchange rate. Now, the Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi said at a press briefing yesterday that the shilling could strengthen to 118 Kenyan shillings to the dollar if allowed to fall freely, and setting of increased inflows of the US currency. Now, this suggests that Kenya has been influencing the trade of the shilling against the dollar, adding the exchange rate to the monetary policy tools for managing inflation. So IMF expressed concern over the unexchanged value of shilling against the dollar, despite global shifts that were expected to see stronger local currency. It termed the shilling to be too stable, and also saying that they having traded on a narrow range between 129.22 and 129.24 since the start of the year, despite weakening against other major world currencies, including the euro and the British pound at 12% and 6.1% respectively. So that is a red flag, because the dollar, when it comes to the dollar, we have been ranging between 129.22 to 129.24 all year. But you take a look at other currencies, we have the euros and we have the British pound. It is actually weakening that is against those euros and the British pound also. Now, and according to Mr. Mbadi, he did say, and I quote, by the way, the stability of the shilling has a basis. I was even saying, if it is the shilling, that is, if the shilling is just allowed to free fall, the shilling would even trade at 118 to the dollar. That is according to Mr. Mbadi. So of course, now this is where the question asked, or rather comes in on who has been tampering with that. So, and according to the whole report, it actually suggests that Kenya has been influencing the trade of a shilling against the dollar, and of course, which has made it to add an exchange rate to the monetary policy tool for managing inflation. So that is an interesting story, and of course, matters regarding the exchange rate in the country. And taking a look at other stories, state settles 93 billion roads pending bills with bank loans. Now, the government has settled 93 billion road sector pending bills using bank loans ahead of the issuance of a bond to clear the arrears accumulated in building transport infrastructure. That is a story on Matters Economy. You will get it on page 4 of the Business Daily. Now, women's unpaid work valued at 1.89 trillion. Now, the value of unpaid work done by each Kenyan woman has, for the first time, been set at 118.845 Kenyan shillings on average per year, putting the collective worth of the hours spent cooking, cleaning, and caring for their families at 1.89 trillion. Well, not smile up, because then if this is the case, then I think most of the women would just would rather go home and work, and do all this. That is cleaning, taking care of the families, and also cooking, and you will get paid a good amount of money, because now, according to the Business Daily, and that is an interesting story, according to the Business Daily, they do suggest that now the women's unpaid work that includes cooking, cleaning, and taking care of the family is actually worth or valued at 1.89 trillion Kenyan shillings. A very interesting story there that you don't want to miss out on page 19, Matters Economy in the country. And lastly, we do have KAM warns of trade disruptions on the tense Tanzanian border, or rather polls. Now, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, KAM, has warned that the post-election disruption in neighboring Tanzania could threaten trade in the East African region. So that is, of course, expected when it comes to business, and that is a story you will get on companies on page 8 of the Business Daily this morning. And how the French we learned in Kenya open doors for us in France. Wale ambao walifanya French kule high school na wenye wanatumia Duolingo, if you learn French in Kenya, then you know it will help you in France maybe one time. So that is a story you will get on page 19 on live on that Business Daily newspaper. Now, also something to think about. It is time to dump the conventional thinking. The informal is the main sector of the economy. Kenya is a good name for it. So the informal sector there, and that is an interesting story by Ndirito Muridhi on page 9 of the Business Daily. And lastly, the exchange rate that everyone has been talking about, including the IMF, still stands at 129.24, which is a 0.00 division against the USD. So those are a few of the local dailies that we have seen today, and of course you can also reach out to us at Ndizi TV Africa across all social media platforms in order to also give us your comment on what you think is happening in the country. So that is why we put a stop on when it comes to the local dailies, the newspaper review this morning on the Morning Buzz show. But of course, do remember you can join the chat via our social media platforms at Ndizi TV Africa at all times, and we will be back shortly to give you some of the reports that have been making headlines in the country, including where President William Ruto has been since yesterday. And of course, we will be also taking a look at the education sector in the country. So don't go too far. You are watching the Morning Buzz show. We'll be back shortly.
Unatazama Ndizi TV Africa.
Being healthy is a strive everybody longs for. Human beings will spend their time online searching remedies for conditions challenging them. Some will go to medical facilities seeking medical help, while others will use herbal means to keep their health hazards. I am Chimutai Kirui, and every week on Afya Yetu, we open the doors for life-changing conversations from wellness and nutrition, preventing diseases, managing chronic illnesses, and even mental health. We bring expert advice, real-life stories, and practical solutions that touch every part of your life. Join me, Chimutai Kirui, on Ndizi TV Africa Afya Yetu Health Show every Friday from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. and be part of the change.
Unatazama Ndizi TV Africa.
Kila jamii hapa Afrika, yani chini ya jua duniani, ina chimbuko lake. Ndani ya Ndizi TV Africa, katika kujua utamaduni wako, ndani ya Utamaduni Afrika, tutaangazia kila jamii, tukianza na jamii ya Abagusi ambayo iko chini ya Bantu, jamii ya Mkamba, jamii ya Waluo. Vile vile tutaangazia kuhusiana na jamii ya Masai. Tutataka kujua ni mbona jamii inaenzi, ama ni mbona kila jamii inaenzi mila na tamaduni zake, na vipi hizi mila na desturi zina umuhimu gani katika utamaduni? Utapata mpaka leo jamii ya Masai inaenzi sana ufugaji wa mifugo. Kuna jamii ambazo zinaendeleza mila ambazo zimepitwa na wakati, mfano ukeketaji wa wasichana, kitu ambacho jamii nyingi hazienzi kamwe, kukeketa wasichana. Haya yote kuhusu mila na desturi na utamaduni ni ndani ya kipindi Utamaduni Afrika katika runinga unayoienzi Ndizi TV Afrika, kila siku ya Alhamisi saa 2 usiku. Kipindi kinaletwa kwako na Mwita Peter. Usikose.
Je, wewe ni mmiliki wa aina ya gari aina ya Alto, Probox, Harrier, V8 na Lexus? Jipatie brake parts kwa bei nafuu hivi sasa. Vilevile oil filters kwa gari aina ya Toyota na vilevile Subaru. Ili upokee popote ulipo, piga simu